Okay, welcome to another Lifessa Lounge where we discuss life's essential advice and the important topics. So let's get straight into it, guys. It's been another week, and to be honest, we started on this last week, and I'm just going to say you've had the Muslim ban, the executive order, the rest of it. I'm not going to empower the news and negativity about Donald Trump anymore. We've already got the Donald Trump show ongoing, like the Shady Bunches. I think somebody put a picture up. So I'm putting that out the window. Not having a running commentary discussion on that this week. So what else has been?
I thought we were going to have a weekly Donald Trump.
Nah, because I feel like this is what it will turn into, right? It's never going to stop. So I was running this morning and I was like, do you know what? It's not going to be, we're not doing that. I'm going to stick on some positivity vibes and get back to that expanding and everything else that's going on in the world.
I heard that, but then I heard a line today in a song that was saying that in times of darkness, you can't shine in times of darkness, you never shine. So it's actually time to like shine. I think that's like the positive.
Yeah, and that's how we said it before, isn't it? Like, this is the time to step up.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you one thing that, speaking on the positivity vibe, like one thing that I did really like that popped up this week was that teacher on Facebook. Does the handshake to everybody.
Well, you don't know it.
No, that was all.
We had a.
But it is, the thing is, what I liked about it, because I'm quite passionate in this area when it comes to teachers.
Yeah.
And the reason being is, I feel that so many people go into teaching because it's just like a vocation to go into. So they've gone to uni and they've done stuff and they're like, what I'm going to do with it. I know loads of people who do like sports science and stuff and they come out and they're like, I'm going to be a teacher.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's cool. But to be clear, anybody can pick up a syllabus and read from it. But not anybody can teach children. For me, it's like a calling. It's not, oh, well, I'm just going to go into teaching because I'm going to go into teaching, right? And what that teacher displayed is what I call being an actual teacher. It's that ability to not say, right, this is my job to teach them X, Y, and Z. My job is to be able to connect with them. So he's created a connection with each one of his children, right, in that class, where he makes them all feel important individually. Because not just a handshake, each of them have got an individual one, right? Yeah. So all of them feel important. Which means when you go into a class like that and you build that kind of culture, you can actually connect to the children and help them learn, as opposed to just saying, well, I need to teach you all of this checklist for the syllabus and then I've done my job. Like, so I really like that when it popped up.
I haven't seen it.
I had a different view than you. I had a totally different view than you.
Oh.
I thought it was a bit long. I thought it was a bit long, like, I want to go on the
So what is it when they're walking into the classroom?
And he does a handshake for them.
Dad as well.
See?
Yeah, it's a couple of them. They love the dad.
Dad as well. I'm like, I understood the connection, but I thought in practicality it's a bit long every time you want to get in the classroom, like, oh, we've got to do handshakes. So.
But maybe this was just happening because the video camera was...
No, they do it every time. That's the reason why the video did it, because if he's like a special teacher that connects with his pupils. I get it.
Yeah,
I think it works for preschoolers, because those kids are like, what, 6, 7, 8 years old? When you get a bit older, it's a bit stupid.
It's not going to work for everybody. I think for me, it's the underlying concept. Are you a teacher who turns up to teach what's there, or are you a teacher who wants to actually connect with children? Because I think that's half the problem with schools nowadays. Like, you can complain all you want about the rest of it, but I don't think in general the school and kind of profession is full of teachers. It's full of people who are employed to teach.
But you think that's teachers? I don't think that's the teachers. I think that's also the curriculum as well. They're forced. They're forced to get targets. So when you're forced to get targets, you might go into teaching thinking you want to teach it, but then the curriculum doesn't allow you to do that because you've got so much targets and you have to get these kids right for GCSEs, A levels. They don't actually get taught anything. They get taught to pass exams. So teachers, I don't really blame the teachers. I blame the curriculum.
They get told what to teach as well.
No, I don't hold teachers responsible for the problem per se, but at the same time, I think people are going into it who their calling is not to teach. So it doesn't make any difference about hitting any of the targets or whatever. If the difference is, do you know how to connect with children? Mm-hmm. That's what it's all about, and it becomes even more imperative when you've got like children who are bad-minded in school. Because let's be clear, right? No child grows up just to be unruly for the sake of being unruly. They've got other things that will be going on in the background. They might have a difficult home background and the rest of it, right? Now, a person who's employed to teach will find it very difficult to teach them because all they know is, this is what I've been told I need to teach, and I completely agree with that, and we've spoken about it before. Schools have creativity for me. Yeah. But a person who's turned up and they're like, right, this is what I've got to teach. When you've got an unruly kid who's not instantly going to be receptive to it, that's when your teaching calling comes into progression. Right, how do I connect with this individual? Yeah. And I think that is what sometimes the profession lacks.
I think with that, it's also teachers that will do the balance of what's more important. The 28 children that want to learn and the one child that doesn't want to learn. And that's when you get assistants coming in, like Senkos that come in and say, well, this child needs extra help. While the teacher himself can't focus on it, he has to be able to single out and go, this child, the reason why he's unruly might not because he's had behavioural issues, it might just be that he has issues at home. So we're going to get him a Senko that'll come in and teach him, because I can understand a child. I can understand if I was a teacher and I had 28 children that want to learn and one child that doesn't want to learn, I'm going to be extra hard on that one child. So I might need extra help to come into the classroom and say he needs help.
I think a lot of teachers are getting extra help.
Yeah, they get Senkos, teacher assistants.
I think it's difficult because again you've got the thing with teaching is, and as I say, I consider it to be like a calling, but because they do that, I've got massive respect for teachers who are really in there to teach. Yeah. Because let's be clear, it's not a super lucrative profession, right? Yeah. Like if you're doing, and I think that's why some people they fall to the wayside because they can't connect with the value of being able to see a child develop, and if you can't have that, then really you stand yourself up for a fall. You're going to have to do long hours, you're going to have to go through a lot of stress, and the money in the background is not probably going to be worth it. Whereas when you're a teacher who's really there to teach, then you get the satisfaction out of every child that you can bring through.
Because I had at university, you had lecturers that read straight out the book and you're like, why am I here? I can actually read this myself.
But that's all lecturers do.
No, not
really. Nah, not the best lecturers.
The lecturers I've seen, boy, just reading from the book.
No, I had lecturers that actually animated and actually talked to you, and they had the slides up, they're actually teaching you. And our lecturers like just read straight from the book, and then like,
I think the difference is what the lecturers do outside of their lectures.
Yeah.
So some lecturers, I mean, I never went to uni, but I've seen this from studies and stuff that I've seen outside of the research I've done. But you've got the lecturers who, all of them have to do their lessons, but this goes back to, you have a syllabus of what you've got to learn, but then you've got the children who want to go over and beyond. So you're talking about the child who wants to go and see you outside of your lectures to learn more. And some lecturers will be like, well, I don't get paid to do that. But then other lecturers are there like, I'm here to teach you. So you want to see me after lesson, you want to see me before school, they'll put in the time to do that.
And again, it's talking about the ones having the call in and the ones...
And that's where they've got the passion, because they want to see people develop, and it doesn't make any difference whether you're going from teaching 6 to 9 year olds or you're teaching 16 to 19 year olds or anywhere between 19 and 30, because people have gone to university and college, right? Inherently in them, their kind of intrinsic motivator is seeing the progression of the people in front of them, not seeing their targets hit and the payment going into their bank account at the end of the month.
Moving on to another subject, so you were talking about like a new progression with Instagram. So Instagram have got like this new feature.
Well, they've introduced their beta testing at the moment. Like, and I think some people can get it, and businesses can use it already. But they're introducing a feature where you can post like up to 10 images within one image.
Okay.
10 images.
So you put like one, you know where we post at the moment, and you've got just one picture that goes up. Within that, and you can do it like with something like an Stitch or the other apps at the moment. But within Instagram, you'll be able to post like an album as one image.
Okay.
So yeah. As you can still do individuals, but you've got album feature. And the thing is, once it popped up, you've got people who are going back and forth. This is good. Loads of people came up and they're like, "This is going to ruin the privacy of Instagram." I'm like, I'm not really sure what you mean by the privacy of Instagram, because to me, this is a good thing, right? Because this is going to stop me going down my news feed and someone has gone to somewhere and they want to take, and it's just yes. And there's 10 photos. Do you see what I mean? Do you see what I mean? Because it's the difference between, on Facebook, you'll have the albums pop up, and this is what Instagram's going to, and I'm like, this is good, because people can do that, and then, actually what that means is, you're going to have the albums pop up, and then if you've got something to deliver, like a specific message that you want to put across, or something that you want to advertise, you can make that stand out. The other stuff that you want to have as your content, put in the album fillers, and then if you've got a video or something that you want to post up, or you've got something, this is just, I'm talking from like a business share perspective, like a video or an advert you want to put up, you can focus on having an individual one for them.
It's more about people don't like change. People just don't like change. When Facebook first started doing their reiteration of Facebook, the first time they changed, people were like, I don't like this iteration of Facebook, it's horrible, they ruined it. Next time they change it, they keep changing it and change it. And the reason why...
I think now we're more used to the change now. But when it first happened, I was exactly the same.
People don't like it, but then I think that's the reason why Facebook succeeded over MySpace, because MySpace never changed. And Facebook was able to adapt, and Facebook's always adapting, always changing, always adapting. The same thing with Instagram. Instagram's features, when it first started to now, it's changed tenfold. Like, before like the whole Snapchat stuff.
But isn't it like Instagram are copying Snapchat?
No, they're going further than Snapchat.
No, they're not. But you have to. Yeah, but it's the nature of it. It's the nature of the platform. Yeah, you got to understand that Instagram is Facebook's baby now, and then you've got Snapchat, who are under Snap. Which, do you see their IPO? How much they're but they're one of them companies where don't you just wish you were an employee at the start? There's your shares right now, but they're battling against each other because they're advertising platforms. So when one goes up, the other one has to go up. There is always going to be inherent features they need to copy. So you can't have Snapchat having its daily sharing and things disappearing. You can't expect Instagram not to jump on top of that because they're not going to say, well, I'm not even going to compete with you, I'm going to allow you to have this space. Of course it's going to happen, it will continually happen.
Then it forces Snapchat to then go say, okay, what are we? And where are we going to go? Because if we don't change it, we're going to be finished. Like, you know how Instagram and, what's the other one? I begins with V. Vine. Instagram killed Vine. It essentially killed Vine because Vine couldn't. Although Vine made loads of
Was Vine ever really big though?
Vine was big.
Massive.
Vine was big, especially for the people who were on there.
All these actors, all these comedians, they all come from Vine. All these people that you see on Facebook now, or Instagram, they were from Vine. They were Vine superstars. And Vine was like, 30 seconds long?
Yeah.
And Instagram just changes to a minute, and it literally kills it.
But then Vine could now come and say, yeah, I'm going to do it.
But they can't do anything now, they're gone.
You can
shut down.
The Twitter shut down.
Yeah. They shut it down about 4 months ago.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, the destruction of Vine came with Snapchat.
Yeah.
Snapchat took over, and then people moved from Vine to Snapchat. Vine couldn't, and the thing is, it was funny because Vine was massive, but it had like its cult following. And so it was weird because it could be massive, but then by so many people not be seen at the same time. But just to what he said, so many people have gone on to blow up their brand because of what they did on Vine. But it's the same, it's in an interchanging environment. Are you always going to be on the cutting edge? So when people were big on Vine, the people who were the smartest knew when Snapchat came along and needed to jump on Snapchat. When people who were big on Snapchat realised that Instagram were releasing their new feature, they jumped onto Instagram. Most of them have always kept in mind that Facebook is the big driver of everything, right? So they've always focused on what they're delivering on Facebook. It's how can you stay up with the dimes and changes?
I mean, the problem is with Vine, it's because Vine is created by the same people that create Twitter, and Twitter create Periscope. And the problem with Facebook, what Facebook do very well, they sit back and wait. They watch what Periscope brings, and then they go, okay, we're going to introduce our Facebook Live, which is actually better than Periscope. So all those likes you see and the hearts go up here, that was from Periscope.
They just copy
them, and they have on a bigger platform. And people don't go. Also, the difference between Facebook and Twitter, people don't go on Twitter to sit on there all day and watch a video. They go on there to see some quick, like 140 characters statement and then respond to it, or they just go quickly through their timeline and come off it. People more likely to sit on Facebook for like 10-15 minutes and then look down the timeline and go through and watch videos. So then on Facebook Live you have also a bigger audience than you'd have on a Twitter.
Well, Facebook leverages what Facebook is a social media. Well, they're all social media platforms, but it's its own platform that has so many things plugged into it. Whereas Periscope is part of Twitter, and you can't get around the fact that Twitter has just become super saturated. Yeah. Therefore, it's difficult. Nobody pays attention to Twitter half as much now as they used to 3 or 4 years ago, right? You used to go on Twitter, people used to be actively tweeting what they were doing in their day, they used to pay attention to the articles and stuff that came out. Now it's just saturated, right? Whereas Facebook, and they make constant changes to make sure that what they put in front of your eyes is actually something that you want to see. And then, like we spoke about the fake news feature where they're trying to enhance, making sure what they put up is actually valuable to you. And you've got the Facebook Live feature. You know they're actually stepping up when they go to a point of having an advert on TV. Yeah. Like, there's always a bit straight. That means they've just got money to burn because they know that their advertising platform is massive on the phone anyway. But they've just gone out as an additional measure to say we're going to advertise on the TV.
Have either of you used Facebook Live yet?
I use Facebook Live.
Yeah.
We use it.
Quite a lot of people use it.
We use it on when we did this.
A lot of people use it now because it's just like when you're taking a video. It's essentially instead of me taking a video and uploading it, I'll Facebook Live it.
It's streamed live.
Yeah, I know how it works. I was asking if you've used it.
We use Hair, and the reason why it's good Hair is because unlike Instagram Live, once it's up, if you don't watch it when it's live, it's gone. But Facebook Live,
you can go back and see
it's there for like 48 hours and then it's gone.
But it's one of those, what you really ideally want to have is you just plug into both of them at the same time, live and both. Because you get, in Instagram, it's easier to get a larger following on there, but at the same time, again, Instagram becomes largely saturated as well. It's lining up where we're just waiting for something else to happen, because Twitter it's got to make a massive change. To be honest, it's had to make a massive change for about 18 months and they haven't.
Yeah.
So at some point in time, they're going to have to make a big change, or they're just going to have to accept they're going to keep subsiding, right? I feel that they will. They're just probably trying to work out where the plug is.
I think the plug with Twitter will be live video, but integrated into Twitter, not outside of Twitter. You know how Facebook has Facebook Live inside of Facebook app? Twitter needs to integrate Periscope directly into the app, so then people can then Periscope directly onto their Twitter. Because we need to go outside of the app to go back into the app. It's long. It's easier when you on Twitter if Twitter had the Periscope where you can just Periscope live off Twitter. So I'm outside. I'm watching someone crash the car and I'm Periscoping directly from my Twitter app.
But then you could do that via Instagram
Facebook
or
Live.
Facebook Live.
That's what I'm saying.
No, but I think what Twitter needs to do is work out a way to battle against how saturated the platforms become. I don't know how they're going to do with that, but that's what because it doesn't make any difference what you introduce. The problem is every day when I log into there, there's so much crap on there which I'm not paying attention to. You see what I mean? Yeah. And you can't. It's not like everybody's going to go through and then redo their whole frenzy, right? They need to battle against how to deal with all the noise that's going on and make it more appropriate. Because whatever you integrating live video in, it's not going to make any difference if everybody then does it and my timeline just becomes saturated by that. So they need to have a game changer, and that might be looking for where the next pocket is. Because you've got Snapchat, and you've got what Instagram has done, you've got Facebook doing the live. So you can stream live videos from everywhere now. You can have the advertising platform. Where's the next? It's interesting to see what's going to be the next one that pops up.
Yeah, on Joe Rogan's podcast with Gary Vee, they were saying that the next thing for Facebook is Facebook TV. They're thinking about introducing a TV that's made up from Facebook, and people buy it so they can be on Facebook while watching the TV or while watching the film and stuff. It's Facebook. That's the next.
Well, the next big thing, apart from the little apps in there, is people more embracing VR, and you've got Facebook constantly trying to work out how they're going to do it. But that's going to be the next big thing. The next big thing, and I think they spoke about it on the Joe Rogan podcast. It's going to be VR, and it's going to be tapping into audio. Right? As in,
would that be the next thing, or will something come before that?
No, we're already there. We've got VR, but people are working out how to bring it to the masses and make it more appropriate on a day-to-day basis, right? And you had before they try and bring out the glasses and the rest of it, but they've not really taken off. But you've got the VR kits, which are people are now starting to use it for gaming. How do you plug that into? So if you can get the VR things and you can work out a way to VR and your live video into that, plug straight into your Facebook, and then on one screen I can have my news feed coming up. I'm doing it all from the comfort of my seat, and then I can tap into. We've got Alexa now, and then I can tap into Alexa, connect that up. Alexa, play something in front of me, and then it's in front of my eyes. People want instant access. People are lazy. People aren't. Well, there's two sides of that. To some degree, people are lazy, and people are looking to increase efficiency.
They want instant gratification.
Well, it's not even that. They want instant access, not even just the gratification. They want to be more efficient. So where people. So we speak about it, for example, when you have platforms and you have to have like blogs and all of your content that flies across everywhere, you can have that because you need to build a network of content. But what people used to consume over email newsletters and stuff, they don't do anymore, right? Because that means they've got to take time to read. I think it was when Charlemagne was talking on, I think it was Breakfast Club, or it was The Brilliant Idiots a couple of weeks ago, when he said he was talking to Gary Vee, and they were talking about his book website, and he was like, your website is for your book, and then people have to click onto another link to order your book. He's like, put the link for your book on the straight page. All of a sudden, the sales popped up, because he's like, people don't want to click two links, they want something in front of them. That's why Facebook video works, because they don't have to click to like a YouTube to go and find it. You'll find that you get more interaction when people are delivering something that pops up on their Facebook newsfeed and they can just watch, as opposed to they have to go somewhere else. People just want that instant efficiency and access.
That's why Facebook Messenger didn't work, because Facebook Messenger forced you to get the app. And then that's why they bought WhatsApp. That's why they bought WhatsApp, because it was like, well, our internet service isn't really working. People would download the app, but they got WhatsApp, so we got WhatsApp now. That's crazy.
But they used to have the messaging integrated, and then they just...
Then they said you have to
but it just never, it was never fully just absorbed into the back. What you want with your messenger is for just to fall into the background of what you're doing, and it never did. Even when you were on the website page, popped up, and it wasn't great the way they did it. So then I think they thought to themselves, let's do it, let's do it in an app. But then the app takes you out of it, so then that's disruptive to your day. But now they've got a WhatsApp, it doesn't make any difference because when you've got WhatsApp, when somebody says text me, you WhatsApp them. You don't even text them anymore. You just assume everybody's got WhatsApp. People don't even say, text me. They'll be like, WhatsApp me. It's just as simple as that.
When you ask people, you got WhatsApp, and you go, no, you go, what phone you got? And you go, got iPhone. So how?
Why you not got WhatsApp? Yeah, the groups and everything are just mad now.
Well, the groups and stuff, well, that's one thing, people like that, but that's just another thing of people managing noise. Like, I don't have many groups that I'm in, but...
No, but I mean, even a lot of business, like small teams and businesses now, they'll create groups.
Oh, yeah, it's a collaborative tool, I use them,
And obviously we've got our own group, so there is a lot of positive stuff that comes from groups, I think. Not just
it's full collaboration, and the more you can integrate it in, again, it's increased efficiency. Like, if I can instantly talk to people on my WhatsApp, it's the same thing with when we spoke about this before. I'm like, I like speaking to people, right? But now I almost feel to a point where people call me, I'm like, why are you calling me on your time for? You could have WhatsApped me and we could have worked out time to speak. You WhatsApped me and said, can you meet at this point in time? Because actually, my personal preference is WhatsApp me to find out when I'm free, and we'll actually sit down and talk to each other as opposed to anything else. But
I agree. When I was doing a meeting with Richard, I was like, well, WhatsApp, and then we meet up. There's no point in just talking back and forth. It's nice to sit down with someone and actually have a conversation, because you get your brain working.
I think people have lost. We had our video that we did on phones, and why I think that I don't feel it's a bad thing, embracing what phones can do and they can connect people. But I think at the same time, I want to balance that conversation of what we had, because I think that it's a bit of we've lost the degree of the personal approach as well. So people have gone from one extreme to the other. They had just speaking to people, and for me, phones allow you to bridge a gap and put you in touch with other people. But now people have gone that far, they've stopped having the interaction in person with people.
But that's because of the whole social media, though. That is because everything now is over social media, and then that just sort of spills into your personal life.
It's not taking that. So I don't agree with social media being put to blame for that, right?
I think it is.
No, because if I want to see you two, then whether social media is there or not, I can arrange to see you two.
I'm not saying that. You can get around it. I'm saying why I think that has happened is because of the emergence of social media, and a lot of conversations now happen over social media, and people have allowed it to interfere with the personal touch.
No, I don't mean that. So the conversation, I think, always goes on, but I think what people do now is they don't make time to actually sit down and speak in person. But I can speak with you guys all day on WhatsApp, but then I can speak with you in person as well. I think it should be leveraged on top of. But if I took social media away, the thing is, if you weren't catching up before, then if social media away, you wouldn't be catching up at all. So it should help, but people always find a reason.
There's a balance.
They're like, but we don't speak to each other because I'm on all of these different apps. I'm like, all right, let me take those apps out of life. When are we going to meet up? And you're still busy, and it's more about priorities and time, but people have just, I think, lost a bit of that personal touch.
People don't want to.
This is what I mean, and that's what I mean.
They don't really want to, because I've been through this loads of times, and I've got certain people that I make sure that I catch up with, but it's, we need to meet up. And then I say, we'll touch base, we'll get it in the diary, we'll sort it out. And then I don't sort it out, or you don't sort it out. One of you has to say, all right, let's put this date in.
It's one of those you put it in.
And then you work towards it. And then you might need to reschedule it. But what I was saying is that doesn't happen enough. You'll get two people talking, but neither one of them says, let's put this date in. And that's what I'm saying. I don't think people actually, they don't want to meet up anymore.
I think life gets in the way. I know, so being out with Richard, with him, we wanted to do this in November, but then life gets in the way. Like, every time we want to do something, we get busy.
Yeah, but once it's there, but once it's there, right,
you get working towards it. So you know it's eventually going to happen.
It's just setting that time and saying, well, we need to meet up. We need to sit down and put this in our diary. It happens all the time with my friend. We try and set something up, and then it gets delayed. But as long as we're consciously aware, we have to meet up eventually. that's important, and that's what we do. I eventually
But it was like the other night when you were up the road from me and you moved from where you were going to be going out of Shorties, and that was going to be difficult for me. And they were like, right, we're going to the chicken shop up the road. Like chicken shop as in the dirty burger one. And I remember when he said that to you, and he was like, "You're taking your girl to a chicken shop." No, not just a random chicken shop, but you were up the road. But I needed to, so I'll be honest, I had left my tax return till lastminute.com. But I was like, do you know what? I might have to submit that super late, but it's rare that there's an opportunity for me to catch up, specifically with Richard. So I was like, look, do you know what? Let me take the time out. So I went up there, and it was just that time. And it's the kind of interaction, like we went into a deep conversation. I was talking about all the problems from my background that forged and made me. And it was all stuff like, for me and Richard, we rarely spoke about that. He's like, right, you like sort of stress in your life. But that's the kind of conversation that you need to have when you're in person. And then we started talking about strategies for advertising and going forwards, and I went just fully into my zone. But all of that just happens only when you're in person. And it comes down to what you said. People don't want to enough.
They don't.
I think the way you change that is that you put people on the spot and say, "We'll put this date in your diary," and when it makes them have a commitment to doing it. So that when they have a date, they unless they like always shirk you, I mean, they don't actually want a conversation with you.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It takes one person, and then sometimes you get to the point you're like, "Why am I always that person to say this?" And then you'll just sit. You'll sit back and you say, "Let me observe and see what actually happens."
See, I know this is a touchy topic because you've been in that position before.
Too many times. You get and people say yeah, and then you just say, you know what? For once, I'm gonna step back and let's see how much people actually really care about doing.
It's about making time with people. Like, I think sometimes as well, you need to focus on because life gets in the way. You need to start picking out why I'm gonna meet this person at this point and this person at this point. I think sometimes what people put as a hurdle in their way as well is they're like, well, I want to catch up with everybody because it's nice. I'm like, that's a nice endeavour to have, but it's just difficult to bring together. When you've got like a circle of 2 or 3 people that you try to see on a regular basis, that's doable. When you try to extend it to 9 or 10, you're like friends network. That's when you're thinking about probably need to do this half yearly or annually because life does just get in the way.
Also, when you have like 8 people, you can't really have those conversations where most conversations are surface level. You haven't got time to interact with everyone. When you have like 2 or 3 people there, you can actually have a conversation because you actually have the time to like sit down and listen. It's not only talking; it's actually listening to the person. And when you have like 8 people, you're just going, yeah, hi, blah blah, what are you up to, blah blah, moving on to the next person. When you've got like 1 or 2 people or 3 people there, you're actually talking and you're talking, they're listening, you're listening, they're talking, and you're actually having
a proper conversation. I find it to be best when you can have two to 4 people. Like, because then you can be really close knit all around the table. And that's not that I wouldn't like to spend time with other people, but I'm just being realistic here. Like, so it's all well and good having the endeavour, but I think it's all, and again, this is where I'm like, I feel that as much as I feel we need to embrace phones and social media because they help, at the same time I think people have used that as an excuse. Kind of rolls onto the topic that we wanted to touch on this week, which is around the whole idea of privilege, right? So I'm talking about white privilege, I'm talking about rich privilege, I'm talking about pretty privilege, I'm talking about man privilege, woman privilege, I'm talking about thin privilege, whatever. It doesn't make any difference what we're talking about. You will always find people who will be like, well, white people have an advantage because of this, that and the other. Or pretty people have an advantage because this, that and the other. Like, for instance, so I'm trying to say, if we're trying to blow up on Instagram, there's going to be a girl, all she needs to do is post a couple of pictures of her looking nice and she's going to blow up, right? She's got pretty girl privilege. Like, I can't beat that, but I'm not going to hate on it. Like, you just need to find a way around it. And I think too many times people look at privilege as being a reason to create their own ceiling on their limitations in life, right? They're like, well, I can't make it because of X, Y, and Z. It's just another reason for excuse, right? Will the idea of racism always exist in the world? Like, I'm not going to be naive and kind of idealistic. Yes, it always will. So there's always going to be situations where you might have a racial privilege that exists that you need to just deal with and get around. There's going to be situations where you turn up in a workplace or a business and the person who's prettier or more stylish than you might have, walking in, naturally, a better opportunity when it comes to first impressions. Am I going to let that hold me back? No, I'll find a way to combat around it. Same thing with all the types of privilege, but I think it's way too easy nowadays for people to be like, well, the reason I didn't make it is because I don't have that privilege.
I think a lot of times when people look at privilege, they look at ease. They want something easy. So when people can see me, they go, oh, how long have you worked out in the gym? And if I told them I've been doing it for like 10 to 12 years, it's now 12 years, they're like, oh, oh shit, it's a long time. But and they go, well, he's got like, he must have genetic privilege because of his body to maintain that. It's genetics, or he might have taken steroids. That's what I get told a lot. And they look for that ease of excuse. And in regards to, someone asked me a question on Tuesday, saying, if you come from a poor background and someone from a rich background, do you think it'd be easier? Do you think the person on a poor background ever break the ceiling that the person at the upper background, the person that's richer, will break? I said, yeah. Because the ceiling may be there, and you might. The person that's richer might get there faster, but the person that's lower can eventually get to the ceiling and smash it. Yeah. You don't have just because you don't have the privilege that person has doesn't mean you can't achieve what you need to achieve. This might take you a little bit longer.
Well, completely, and you might have to work smarter about how you go about it, right?
You have to have the fight, isn't it? Because you may need to put in a little bit more work than the next person, and that's what I don't think some people are willing to do. They're just like, this person has it, I want to have it as easy as they. Yeah. Why do they have it? It's a little bit of jealousy and anger.
It's just built into one. It's all of those which has come from excuses, and I've seen a hell of a lot when I'm growing up. When I've been in conversation, well, I can't get this and that because I've come from this background, and that person's come from this background where they were brought up with more money around them, more opportunity. Mm-hmm. So what? So opportunity came more naturally to them. Doesn't mean you can't work to get yourself in the face of that opportunity. Again, you might have to be smart. If I'm going into battle, let's think about it as if like, obviously we just got beat by Chelsea yesterday, fine, whatever, I'm going to go past that. But when they talk about Conte as a coach, they're like, he spends so much time on the tactics, on the training ground, right? To a point where his players are like, it gets a bit boring. It's the same thing with American football. American football even more so because it's about set plays, right? So it's all about the tactics. So what I'm thinking about is if I'm going up against somebody in business, in life, in my career, whatever, if I look at them, they might be more privileged than me. Okay, they might come from a background where they have more access to opportunity. What player am I going to deploy to get past them? Am I going to drop it back, send somebody on a fake run around the outside and throw it to the end zone? I might take that approach. What play am I going to take to compensate for the fact that they've got privilege? Or am I going to turn around and say, well, they're just naturally faster than me, so I'm just going to race them head on and get beaten and then say, oh, it was my fault. Like,
I think with Conte, as a player, he didn't have anything that made him special, but he was in the team that won loads of Scudettos. He was in the team that won loads of championships with Juventus. And
Conte was good though.
He was a decent player. He wasn't like, he wasn't fastest. He wasn't the strongest, but he was able to use. He had football brain, and that's not Fabregas. Fabregas isn't the fastest. He's not the strongest. He's not quick. Fabregas does brilliant things. He does things like he pulls goals. These players physically, you wouldn't think that. Pulls goals is tiny. He's like the shortest player on the pitch, but he can get into the box and win a header. He can he picks out the pass because his football brain lets him do it. He says, okay, I might not have the speed and stuff, but my football brain lets me have an advantage over the person that has the natural physical attributes that I don't have.
Do you know what I think about it is a good example of a person on a football pitch is a central defender. Yeah. And the reason I say that is, so when I used to be younger, I remember I used to get gassed because I used to be quick, right? And because I used to be quick, when people used to get past me, almost to a point, I would do a little slow sprint and then I would just jet and then just put in this demon super last ditch tackle, right? All the boys come up to me, they're like, yeah, that's wicked. I used to walk in there. There was one time I walked in, my boss just squashed me down. Walked in at half time, he's like, yeah, Ben, good tackle, but if you were in a position, you wouldn't have to do that. And so from a central defender's point of view, when people talk about it, they're like, this defender doesn't have this attribute and they're not fast. It's often the one that comes to them. And I'm like, do you know what? The best defenders don't rely on being fast. Mm-hmm. They rely on reading the game and positioning themselves properly. And that's exactly the legs of lead, right?
That's why I said John Stones ain't a defender.
But can't read it. That's what I mean. But I'm not going to get into a football. The thing is, what I'm talking about is you read what's in front of you and position yourself to take that on. And it's the same thing when we're considering about privilege. It's always going to exist because there's always going to be people from different backgrounds in the world. There's always going to be some people who are better off.
I think with privilege, to deal with privilege, you have to take yourself out of your own context and look outside from the outside and see what strengths do you have of your weaknesses. A lot of people look at their weaknesses and say, "Oh, I can't do this because I can't do that." But they don't actually look at the strengths, and they don't compare their strengths to the wider. I can't talk, guys. Perspective. They don't look at the wider perspective. So a lot of times, people look at Gary Vee would always say strengths over weaknesses, and people need to start thinking that way. Don't think about your weaknesses. Think about what strengths you do have, and that's your privilege. People always think about other people's privileges. So take for example short guys. Short guys normally they feel that tall guys get it easy when it comes to women. And it's always the case that if I had your height, I'd be able to get bare chicks. And bare chicks means a lot of chicks, if people don't understand.
And chicks means women.
And chicks means women. I can get loads of women if I was taller. But then they don't actually see from their context that, well, if they were short, they might like, some tall girls might like shorter women, or some shorter girls might think they're really tall. Or the tall guys might, because they're so tall, they don't have to develop game. So they just rely on their height and their looks, while the short guy might have to develop his game and be able to take the girl from the taller guy, because the taller guy has no game.
So tall guy privilege is the interesting one, because for me, I mean, I'm not short, but I'm like 5'7", right? But when I go out, I'm going out with like giants. I've got Richard, who's like 6'4". I always talk about him. I always say, yeah, he's like 7'5". I'm joking. I'm extremely. But when we go out, I'll be like the short one. And the reason I say it's interesting is because I see guys are like that, and one, they use it on when they're going out, but again, you get that when it goes into a corporate environment. You get some people actually compensate, because you get a lot of people who go into like small man syndrome, and they're super conscious of their height and the fact that they're around people who are taller than them. If they approach a woman, they're super conscious that girls are taller than them, and for some reason it's become a super thing. Like, girls will ask you, by the way, how tall you are. Like, it just becomes a first on question. So height has become, so if you're already susceptible to being self-conscious of that, it can be worse when people start asking you for it. Now, for me, whenever I'm around like the tall, like, it's never been an issue for me, but the way I always refer to it is, I'm like, my presence is enough to compensate for your extra 8 or 9 inches.
A little bit of self-confidence, isn't it?
And this is what I mean, but it can help when you're being in those, right, you're around tall people privileged, but that's not an excuse. Like, alright, this person's tall, but they're not more privileged, and that's why you've got people in corporate environments, they might go against somebody who naturally looks the part. They've come in, they're that model look of what you expect, but then you get people who are like corporate masters, CEOs, they use that against them. They take little man syndrome and do away with it, and put that into a power of strength. So you might see these people who, one of the most aggressive coaches in football I've ever had was like this tall. But you couldn't help but respect him. I mean, the guy could shout for England, and you kind of had to listen to him. But he went past that. Again, it wasn't using privilege as an excuse. And again, it falls into all different types of privilege. And it always falls back to, I can always find an excuse. I could go out there tomorrow and say, well, there are loads of people who are out there who are better looking than me. There are loads of people out there who are bigger than me and stronger than me. There are loads of people who are taller than me, richer than me, positioned in a place of more opportunities. If I woke up every morning and looked at all the people who are more privileged than me in different areas, then I probably never want to get out of bed. Exactly. But I don't do that. I wake up in the morning and think, do you know what? This is what I can do in life. And then if I'm going up against somebody, I'll measure them up as I go into those challenges. So whoever I'm trying to take on, again, comes back to, what's my rule book look like? What play am I going to deploy against this person that's going to compensate for the gap?
It's like, okay, so I'll use you as an example. You and Usain Bolt. You don't want to beat Usain Bolt in a 100-meter sprint or 200-meter sprint. But you're going to beat him over 25 miles. So, you know what I mean? So it's understanding what strengths you have and using those against, using those and appreciating those, and then taking them and saying, okay, what can I do to navigate my way to where I want to be? A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people do what you just said. They go, I haven't got this, I haven't got this, I haven't got that, I don't get out of bed. Instead of saying, well, I have this, I have this, I have this, and I can gain this, I can gain that to get where I want to get to. It's understanding, you might have this privilege, I don't have white Jackson privilege because I'm black, I can't do anything about it. I can't do Michael Jackson, I can't bleach my skin, even if I bleach my skin, I'll still have my black features. You know what I mean? But what I can do is take on the things that I have, that my skill sets, the things that I've attained, and I can say, okay, well, I might not be able to get there as quickly as they can, but I'm going to get there. And that's what people have to start taking on board. They have to stop thinking, I'm not going to start because I can't get there, or it'll take me slower. Forget how long it takes to get there. It's a journey. The journey is the most important part. The destination is the thing you eventually achieve. But if you focus on enjoying the journey and taking your time on the journey, it doesn't matter how fast or how slow you get there, as long as you get there.
I think race is always the one which is going to be the biggest one to get past, right? And I think that's the one which the majority of people let hold them back.
Race and sex.
But then there are other ones who are out there. So there are women out there. So there are black women out there who chuck all the facts and figures out of the window and say, I'm going to make it because I have the drive to make it. And then there are other ones who will turn around and find a million reasons why they can't make it. Same thing with black guys, with Indian guys, or Asian guys, right? They might, some of them will turn around and say, well, this is a white man's world, I can't make it. And some of them are like, it don't make no difference to me, because he might have a privilege, but I'll tell you what, he can't outwork me. He can't outwork me, he can't outskill me in this area. He might come from a level of privilege, but I have such a work ethic and I have such a skill set that people are not going to be able to ignore me. Or they might say, do you know what, I'm going to go out of a profession and I'm going to start my own business or whatever. But they go all in at it. They don't find a reason to use an excuse.
I don't know, I think, and I don't really want to get on the subject of race, but I do think that we need to work a little bit harder than some other cultures. Because other cultures, from what I've seen, is they have a privilege in the sense that they bring each other together and they help push each other along a long way. Well, I don't feel that we as black people really do that, because just as an example, I'm a mortgage consultant by trade. Been doing it a long time, and I'm very good at my job. And what you will find is in the Indian community, the mortgage advisor, he will do all of the people he does business for, they'll keep it in the community. Everyone, he'll do a lot of their mortgages and stuff like that. And the same with the Greeks, and I know from example, they will do the same thing.
Yeah,
but I'd say that's not a race thing. It's more of a culture thing.
It is a culture
thing.
It's
more of a culture thing in the sense that if you had Africans or Nigerians or Ghanaians, I'm pretty sure Ghanaians act the exact same way.
Probably, I think they do. Right. I think they do, and I think the thing is, and you see it here, you see. How can I think about this? They reside in a lot more of pockets of areas. So when you've got like Greeks and Cypriots, they kind of live in the same way. They create a community culture. Whereas, and again, with people who come from certain countries, forget their race. They've come over from a certain country. Their culture creates a sense of community around them. I think when you look at consensus, if you look at consensus of white versus black, because if you look at white people and black people, it's a wide spectrum, right? You can't say that everybody's going to have a community on either of those. But when you start to plug down into the cultures and find a certain religions, for example, you find a community there. Same thing where you find within black people, you look for people who are religious or go to church and stuff. You find these pockets of communities. I think that's when you need to maybe break it down. I understand what you're saying in a wide scale, and I think it becomes a bit more easy to see representative-wise when you're in somewhere like a North London, because you get like a lot of Greek Cypriots around, and you see this community. I don't think that's I don't think it necessarily lacks. I think you just need to look a bit specific in the demographic. I understand what you're saying on a whole.
I think it's more of a cultural thing. It's a thing that if you look at West Indians in America, they do better than black people that were made slaves in America. West Indians that come from Jamaica and Grenada and the rest of the Caribbean, when they go to America, they actually do much better than West Indians in the UK. Same thing, Nigerians do better than white males in America. That's crazy. They do much better than the average white male.
Is it?
They do much. Nigerians get paid more than an average white male in America. Nigerians go to America they actually do work better. You heard it on 20 Idiots. And the reason, and it's not a race thing. It's more of a cultural thing. It's how your culture goes to the country and then pertains itself and then develops itself into then building.
I think it actually helps when you see, and it comes from a lot of success stories as well. Is where you've got somebody who's come over as an immigrant, and to make it, in a lot of instances they've come over as a legal migrant. But we spoke about illegal ones before. But the fact that they have to come to a new country and create something from the ground up means they remove all of these excuses out of there. They land there knowing, right, I don't have the privilege of being a native of this country. I don't have the privilege of being able to naturally speak the language. I don't have the privilege of having family and opportunities around me. That's not going to hold me back because I've made it here. I've now made it here. I made it out from where I was, the struggles, and I made it here. I'm in the land of opportunity. Because whatever country they've gone to, they've gone there for opportunity. They're like, right, I've made it. No excuses are going to hold me back. And they constantly work and battle against that. I think that it goes a bit to the conversation we had around the rise of the underdog, right? Is that they have that mindset where they're like, privilege, I know it exists, but it doesn't make any difference. It's not going to hold me back. I'm going to battle through it. I think you become a bit more susceptible to using it as an excuse when you grow up in a place where, let's be honest, if you grow up in the United States or in the UK or something, or in a country that has a strong economy, by default, you are more privileged than someone growing up in a third world country. But we don't consider that.
you're more privileged than most of the rest of the world.
And that's what I mean.
Not the third world country, the world.
But we don't consider that. We don't consider those privileges that we already have.
Yeah.
We just wake up and look at the specific ones that we wish we had.
Well, you're just looking around in your environment, isn't it?
That's what it
is.
That's what it is. When you look, if you actually took yourself and put yourself against the rest of the world, you'd be like, wow, I'm doing pretty well. When you put yourself against people in your local area or people that you see on TV, then you think, well, I'm not doing so well. People on TV are usually extremes. They're like the top 1%. They're like millionaires or billionaires that people put on TV and they hold them up. But the reality of it, if you look outside of your social content, if you looked at like the people around you, most times you find that you're actually doing better than them. I'm not saying that that should stop you from.
I was going to say I don't think that's a bad thing that we do that, because that's what will push and drive us to be better. Otherwise, you just.
No, I don't think it's that. What I mean is when you wake up and you ignore the fact that you already have privilege. You don't focus on the privilege that you've got. It goes back to what you say earlier. You don't focus on the advantages that you already have in life just by existing and living where you are, having access to all of these random opportunities. You focus on what I don't have, and then you start to create excuses. And some people will use that as, I don't have this. Game mode, I'm going for a beast mode, I'm about to win, right? I'm gonna find this person who's up there. Yes, they may have what I've got. That's my competition. I'm going head to head with you, right? Other people look up at that and they go, wow, look, that person's really made it. I don't have access to that opportunity. I don't have access to that resource. I don't have access to their team. They didn't start off with their money, their opportunity, their team, right? Some people might have been brought up in like a rich background, but their work ethic drove them to branch off and start a new business of their own or a new career of their own, and their natural fight and their natural game mode said, I'm going to win in whatever I'm going at. Whereas some people look at it as, well, there's somewhere where I can't be. So they built up their resources, their team, the scale of their business, their skill set that they've got, their confidence, whatever it is that they've built up, they've worked to build that up because they said, yep, I've got this baseline. It goes back to when we're talking about perfecting yourself as a diamond, right? It's taking yourself from where you are and thinking, this is where I want to get to. Let me aim for a goal that requires me to grow to the person I need to reach that goal, as opposed to that goal's there, but I'm this guy, and to achieve this, I need to be this guy. I don't have the advantage and the privileges to do that. Like I say, for me, it's a form of, I've gone into this before, I don't like people using excuses to create their limitations, but I think this is the biggest one that people use. They just plug into reasons why they can't make it and focus so much on the negative, and even loops back to what we said at the start. I think, right, I don't want to focus on talking about negatives in this, let's focus on the positivity. People spend so much time thinking about the negative side and context of their situation as opposed to thinking on the positive side. And a positive side to me can be, well, I'm not here right now, but I'll be damned if I'm not going to make it. That's a positive drive to me, as opposed to I'm not there because I'm just weak and I'm not good enough, and then just letting yourself flop away.
It's not easy to. I think some people find it hard to think positively.
Mindset. It's just taking time. Look, I say you need 20 minutes a day for mindfulness. Even if you have an hour a week for mindfulness, it's taking yourself away from the world and thinking about the stuff that you do have that you're happy for. Like every day, Charlamagne wakes up in the morning and texts, thank God I'm alive, and then he thanks God for what he actually has. If you have food in your fridge, you're doing better than most of the world.
Yeah, I know.
If you have clothes on your back and you have clothes in your wardrobe, you're doing better than most of the world. If you've got a roof over your head and you're not worrying about it being taken away from you, you're doing better than most of the rest of the world. If you've got a job to go to in the morning, you're doing better than the rest of the world. You might not like your job, but you've got a job. It's those things that you.
Well, I think it's just building a habitual routine. I think it's a good thing to do that. It doesn't even need to be a 20 minutes a day. Yeah. If you're looking for a more practical way to do it, every day when you wake up in the morning, think about what the thing is that you're grateful for when you're waking up. Because once you do that and you build it in, it's a constant, and it's good to do it first thing in the morning. Your morning routine, if you wake up and you have a morning routine where you get up, you remind yourself what you're grateful for. That gets you out of bed. You do your workout to get your body going. You spend 5 or 10 minutes planning what you're going to do for your day. You've just spent half an hour effectively motivating yourself and putting yourself in the right state of mind for the day. Yes, people find it difficult, but that's because people aren't really trying. How many people have a morning routine? Not that many people you'll find. And I'm not talking about a morning routine that is, I need to get out of bed, get changed, and go to school. That most people have a routine to a degree of, if you've got kids, you know you need to get your child ready and get them to school. Of course, that's a responsibility. And you have to get to work. That's a responsibility. But they haven't created any form of habitual routine that helps them to get themselves ready for the day. So, for instance, I run to work, right? People are like, why do you run? They're like, how far is that? I'm like, well, it's an 8.5 mile trip, so it's 17 miles a day. They're like, why do you run for? I'm like, one, I don't like the tube. It gets me in a stressed out mindset. And two, when I'm running, it's part of my preparing myself for the day. I get myself into a right mindset, and I might listen to an audio book when I'm on the way to work. I might just listen to music that just puts me off in my zone. Because when I'm running, I'm in autopilot when I'm doing that journey, right? So I can just go in and I'm planning for the day, I get my head into my right mindset. And I'm doing the same thing when I'm coming home at night. I de-stress the day. And often I cultivate my best ideas when I'm doing that. But I've deliberately taken the action to create that as part of my routine. I could just as easily say I'm going to go and get the tube, but it would not allow me to put myself in the right state of mind. It's the same thing getting up in the morning. Get the TRX out and get my press ups in and do my set routine, because that's part of how I get myself prepared for the day. It's the same thing when I wake up in the morning. I'm like, right, what have we got on today? This is what I need to do, and this is what I've got to be grateful for. It's waking up and creating that, and it takes such little effort to do it, but you have to take the actual action to say, I'm going to do it. I don't think it's that difficult. I think it's just people overlook in life in general, the importance of the small incremental changes to make the big long-term successes.
Yeah, it's with what do you call it? Say you might have a job that you don't like, and that's going to be very hard for you to then wake up in the morning and be positive, and then go to a place where you you're not enjoying it.
But then why not? If you don't like something, change it.
I understand what you said. You sound like me for a second there. Just
No. I don't understand that mentality. If I don't like something, you change it. You literally go out and say, I don't like this. Why don't I like it? If I can fix it there, I fix it. If I can't fix it there, I change. I move. I change. Life is too short. Go into something you don't actually like doing. You are making yourself miserable. I posted a video yesterday on Instagram which had like 190 views and only 9 likes. That's my lowest likes on the video ever. And the reason why people didn't like it, I think majority of people don't like it, is because I'm telling people to be accountable for their own destiny. A lot of people don't like being accountable for their own destiny, because if they want to blame their parents, they want to blame their co-worker, they want to blame their boss, they want to blame everyone else but themselves for taking responsibility for their own actions. You said this to me on numerous occasions, that when before in the 1960s you should be 21 and be an adult. Now you have to wait till you're 31 till you're 30 to become an adult, because you take responsibility for your own actions. People, if you have a job you don't actually like doing, ask yourself, why are you doing it? If you need the money, there's other jobs that you'd be surprised. There's so many other jobs that will pay you that amount of money.
But I want to slip out of what he's saying, because I think there's a different approach that you. Well, I let you go, but I think there's a different approach that you would take into that question.
Well, it's just I've got a situation at the moment where a friend of mine he's in a rut. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes that happens. You go in a rut, and his marriage is not perfect. Work is not, and he's just in that mindset at the moment where he's finding it very, very hard to be positive. I'm trying to motivate. I'm trying to and say all of the stuff that you're saying to him. You have the power to change it. If you want change, only you can change it and stuff like that. But he starts to put limitations on himself that within the industry that he works in, there's not much out there.
To change the industry.
And when you get to a certain age and you've got bills to pay and 36, 35.
But I think you're taking a bit of blunt sword to it, which is unusual. It's normally me. But what I'm saying is, so where you've said that, so if you're in a job that you don't like, yes, I agree. Never spend your life doing something that you don't enjoy. Yeah. But whilst you're there, the answer can't just be, right, you quit, moving on. I know that's not what you're trying to say. Yeah. But whilst you're in that, you need to find reasons to get yourself up in the morning and motivate you. Now that's when you look back to, what is it that I have in life that I've got to be grateful for? That's when you're focusing on what it is you. So if he's got bills to pay, but it sounds like he's got family. Well, I can't wake up every morning. I've got family. I've got my parents back home, but I can't wake up every morning and look at a wife next to me and a child in the house and think, oh yeah, I've really got a family to be grateful for. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't wake up upset in the morning thinking, oh my God, I'm so alone. Like I've got no family. No one wants to settle down with me. But what I'm saying is, I don't have that. If somebody else has that, that's something to be grateful for, right? You need to pick up the reasons that you need. That's when you really need to refocus to your why. Yeah. So your why needs to be right. What is my why that makes me happy? That's when you start to think, right, if I'm not happy in what I'm doing, do I need to seek to do something elsewhere? And that's not, I'm going to change my profession by next week. That's, I'm going to make a plan to get towards what I want to do. But in the meantime, I need to work out how I'm going to get up every day and go to this job that I don't really enjoy. That's when building in a morning routine of a habit to remind yourself of what you've got to be grateful for, and maybe focusing more on that. So yes, you've got your job, but focus on that as being what the purpose of that is to bring in the money to support your family and start making more time to spend with them and create that connection and find something to be that you're grateful for, like I say. So
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Everything you said there makes sense. But also, I'm going back to it. If you don't actually enjoy what you're doing, work towards finding something that you actually enjoy doing. People have to take responsibility for their own happiness. Happiness is not an external thing. You might get a new girlfriend, you might not get a new car. Those things might feel like they make you happy, but happiness comes from actually within. If you want to be happy, you make yourself happy. You take responsibility for your own happiness. You say to yourself, like Ben says, you say you have to deal with a job you don't enjoy doing. Find something that will get you up in the morning, that makes you happy, so you like your family. They're the reason why you're doing what you're doing, and then you work towards getting out of what you don't enjoy doing. And this thing about I'm 36, I'm 40, I'm 50.
It's a lack of patience, right? It's a lack of patience.
No, but it's also people reach destination at different times. Warren Buffett didn't become the world's richest man until late into his 50s, 60s.
No, but he was building on that from long. When I say it's a lack of patience, what I mean is people want an instant answer, and they don't realise that to get out of it, it might be that I'm going to have to put up with this and find. And the reason why I say you need to find some things to be grateful for, I'm going to have to put up with this whilst I'm working in the long run. That's not going to be a month or two thing. It might be a 12 months. I might have to live in the dirt for 12 months to 24 months, right, before I can be in a position to make that change. But if I don't actively take a step towards it, then 2 years from now, I'm still going to be exactly as unhappy as I am now. But I'm not gonna move the step forward.
You know what the issue is with a lot of people as well is they are working to make money rather than working to do something that they enjoy.
Yeah, that's life.
And so when you say like Warren Buffett and all of these type of people, that's not really going to relate to him because he's not really trying to get to massive heights. He's just working.
It's a form of what is he's hit it there. What is happening? We touched on this when we done the video on what is success to you in your life, right? And success is achieving your level of happiness, not anybody else's. So if success to you, if remove success, if happiness to you is having a comfortable situation and bringing up your family and giving them what they need, then you're cool. You're winning at life, right? You don't need to make $1 million. If making $1 million but not having time for your family isn't going to fulfill your happiness, then it's no good, right? Exactly. If you're an individual who's like, I want to have all the nicest things and that is what motivates you, then you need to do that to win. You often find that a lot of the people who are making this massive money, they didn't set out to make money. They set out to do it because they enjoy what they're doing.
That's
and
what I
made
said.
It from there.
They're working to do something that they enjoy and they're making money, whereas I think a lot of people work to make money.
Yeah, they do. They fall into that. A lot of people fall into that early on in life, and you need to make a point in time where you decide, right, I'm not really happy with this, and I need to change. But in fairness, if you're working in something that you're not happy with at all, then chances are you probably haven't progressed as far as you could have. So there's nothing stopping you from going. You might take a pay cut of a set amount, but you can still work to something that makes you happy. And we're not. And that doesn't mean, again, it doesn't mean the same thing to everybody. So that's not saying quit your job and start a new business. That means go and look for an industry that you can still be employed by somebody and being happy in what you're doing, right? Not for everybody starting a new business isn't what makes them happy. And for a lot of people it isn't, right? Because they start it up because they want the riches and then they realise it takes work. And then what they realise is, damn, I'm just working harder than I did in the old job. I should have just stayed where I was. But if you're working in, so say you're a mortgage advisor and you don't like being a mortgage advisor, but you'd like to work in a more people-related environment, then there are jobs out there for you to explore. It doesn't mean shut down one and your new levels of successes. And I touched on this before. You don't have to buy into this whole entrepreneurial spirit, right? That doesn't work for everybody. It is defining what is good for you, and that could just be a career change of profession, not as everybody feels is the dream at the moment, quit my job, start a business.
But you gotta appreciate that some people, you get to age 36, age 40, age 45, whatever, and you've been in a certain industry for so long, you don't think that you can do anything else.
You can.
I know that, but I'm saying what their mindset is they don't think
they can do it.
And also they don't know what they're. You get to a position where you. Alright, what industry do you go into now? How do you then choose that?
Alright, so then it's not about. A lot of times with people that work in a business for like 10 years, they get institutionalized into how that company runs, and then they don't want to go elsewhere because they get scared of change. Human beings, we like patterns, we like patterns, we like our lives to be in a steady motion. But when you're 45, what you have over someone that's 21, experience. You must, by 45, you will know intrinsically what makes you happy, what makes you tick, what makes you buzz, what makes you happy, you understand yourself far more better than someone that's 21. Someone 21 still find themselves in the world. They're still going from being a teenager to being from adolescent to being a full-grown adult, and they're now trying to find out what makes them tick. Now, at 45, what you have over that 21-year-old, you have 24 years of experience in life that you now know that what makes you happy. And so what you can do, you'd hope so.
Yeah, but I don't think it's even a matter of hope. If you don't take the time to ask a question, and it's very simple. If you could, and I'm not saying remove money from the situation because we need to pay bills, but hypothetically sit yourself in a room and say, right, I'm going to take money out of the actual argument here. If I could wake up every day and occupy my time with something, what would that thing be? Okay? And then that's what you pursue on. So when you're saying, what is the industry that you would look for? Right, if I could wake up every day and help people and engage with people, I've got to start. Look at the industries that allow you to do that. Do you want to be a teacher? Do you want to work in, football coaching or any form of coaching? Do you want to work in a more outward-facing customer service related environment? So you might want to work on in a car salesmanship or something when you're dealing with people and you're getting more engagement with them. Or maybe you're a flip turners. I can't deal with the stress of dealing with people all the time, but I really like numbers. Would you enjoy being an accountant? Accountant's not for me. I call it the dark arts. But some people, it works for them, right? You can't tell me that people don't know what they want. They just don't take the effort to ask the question. What industry could you work in? The beauty of it is there's a broad amount of industries. So you don't have to be specific on the one that you want. Be specific on the key traits and characteristics of a job that will make you happy and the key things to you in life, and then work out what your industry is around that.
Also talk to people. If you don't know what will make you happy, talk to them. Because what happens is when you talk to people, you find out that you actually discover more about yourself when you through conversation. I always learn more about myself when I talk to people because of things that I didn't really think about. It comes up in conversation and I'm like, wow, I actually have an opinion on this. I actually enjoy doing this. I'm more optimistic than I thought I was. I thought I was quite pessimistic, but then talking to you, I'm quite optimistic. So it's like, if you talk to people about your idea, what happens is it usually comes out. And most times when you think, if someone says to you, what do you actually enjoy doing? What do you enjoy? Steak or chicken? Most people go, I don't know, because you put them on the spot. But if you talk to people, then they actually talk to people about your problems or things that you're finding tough. You find that solution come up instead of you kept it to yourself. So as much as we can do that thing in the morning when you have that morning routine, if you end up talking to people and then engaging in a conversation and spending time with people that are close to you, like having your mastermind group or whatever, you actually find that you learn more about yourself, and the people around you always will come up with a solution that will actually benefit you. So you talk to people more, then it helps, especially that person that's in the right.
And by the way, I agree with everything that you lot are saying. I'm just speaking from the other side. This is a real life situation which is going on at the moment. I'm trying to help him, and it's just like an interesting case, not a case study, but it's just something that's like literally happening right now.
I know my approach won't work. My initial approach probably wouldn't work because of the natural thing is cognitive dissonance. I can't say that word again.
Stop saying these words you don't say, man.
No, you know what I'm trying to say. Cognitive dissonance. Usually when you tell someone something and they don't hear it, they just go back to the cognitive dissonance. So Ben's approach probably would probably more work in this way because
and that was my approach.
Do you know
with him?
Yeah. Do you know what I would say though? And it might sound a bit deep to go into it, but remind yourself you're alive and remind yourself you're gonna die. So when you're saying, what would you...
So remind yourself
that you're alive and remind yourself that you're going to die.
You like that one?
I like to drop these ones nowadays. But what I mean is that, remind yourself that you're... So when you get to a point where you're saying, well, I'm in life and he's falling into a rut and I don't really know what makes me happy. Right, remind yourself how blessed you are that you're alive and you're in the situation that you're in. And then remind yourself that you are going to die one day. I don't want to sound deep and somber, but you're going to die one day, right? And do you want to look back on a life and say, I was miserable all the time? Or do you want to look back and say you were happy? And again, there's time left for you to make a change. That doesn't mean actively fixing things tomorrow. That means you need to, decide, I'm fed up of being unhappy. I'm going to die one day, and I want to make sure that when I look back, when I'm standing in front of the bright lights, I'm happy to look back and my life flashes before my eyes with something that I was happy about. And that's what I mean by that. remind yourself that you're alive, remind yourself that you're going to die. And the two of those should give you the get up and go to think, actually, do you know what? I'm blessed. Because when you remind yourself you're alive, you start to build on the rest of the things that you've got around you. Yeah. When you keep in your mind, I'm going to die one day. It's like Steve Jobs said, right? Where he's like, the best way to, when you remind yourself that you are going to die one day, you realise you've got nothing to lose.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, as simple as that. We've got bills and stuff to pay, but you need to remind yourself that this isn't going on forever. Like, so the longer that you keep staying in this rut and not choosing to put a fix in place, the worse it's going to get. Like I say, you could put a plan in place and 2 years from now you move towards that plan. Or you could not put a plan in place and be as unhappy in 2 years as you are right now. And when it, like I say, when it comes to you, just focus on what you've got to be grateful for in life, as opposed to all the things to be negative about. That is the stuff that will get you up in the morning when you're dealing with something. Well, I'm not happy, but I've got these reasons to be happy. Okay, I'm not happy for 7.5 hours in a day, but outside of that, I've got all of these reasons to be happy. I've got my health, I've got my family, I've got my friends who are supporting me, I've got money in the bank, I've got all of these reasons. You start to rack them up, you're like, geez, I was moaning and bitching about stuff and my life isn't that bad.
But that's why I think it's important as well that you have friends that will say these type of things to you. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I've been in a rut previously and I had people around me, but I didn't necessarily have those key messages being given to me. You need to be grateful. Look at what you do have. And you know what I'm saying? And that's sometimes what you need. This is the stuff that I've been telling him. But if you're in a rut and you're just, it's going to be okay, and you're not really drilling down to...
I think you need friends, I think you need friends who are going to take the proactive action.
Yeah.
So for instance, different people take different approaches. So me, if somebody sits down and starts speaking to me, I'll give you a whole load of things that I've got going on or built me in the background, but they won't actually come to the front. And when I have an issue, I like to figure that out in my own mind. And I'm cool with that. But for some people, the burden becomes too much. What you need is a friend who's going to step in, so like you've stepped in with your guy and said, right, this is what I think you need to do. But you need a friend who's going to take the step and not wait for you to ask for assistance. Because a lot of times, people are maintaining all of this in because they feel like they can't talk to anybody. So your friends and your support network, part of them being there and supporting you is they know when to speak to you and say, you're looking like you're going for a problem. Let's go out for... You remember that time when we just went out? I can't remember where, it was a couple of years ago, wasn't it? Where you had some issues going on and we just went out.
It wasn't even that long ago.
No, was it not even that long ago?
It was like early part of last year.
Time flies. Time flies. But we went out and there were some things going on and all it was just a talk and you were like, do you know what, I really needed that. But that was a point of me saying, if you've got stresses going on, let's go out and let's just have a catch up. But otherwise, if I hadn't extended that offer, then you might have gone 6 months before feeling in a position to say to somebody, do you know what, I really need some advice on this. So your support network is critical that they step in when they're required as well.
I think also, like what Ben said before with his approach, it allows you to pause. Because when you pause, you don't do that knee-jerk reaction, because you said that he's got problems at work and at home with the relationship. And the natural reaction is to change things. So if you're not getting on with your missus and it's been going for a long time, the natural thing is to end it and change it. But that's a knee-jerk reaction. So if you pause and you do what Ben says, where you actually take a minute to be thankful for the things you do have and being alive, and you remember that you're going to die, it makes you pause and think, okay, well, I can actually work on this. It's not a lost hope. And I think all relationships are never a lost hope until they're to the very end, they die. And what you have to do is you have to say, okay, what's not working here, and how can we fix it? How can we communicate so we can fix it and actually make this work? When you do that, you actually have time to pause, and when you pause allows you not to do those knee-jerk reactions, which you will later on will regret. Because when you don't pause, you don't usually tackle the underlying problem. You're just shifting the problem to something else. So when you pause, you actually can have time to say, okay, what is the issue here? How can we resolve it?
Do you know what it is? I love it. I only just coming in this conversation, but I love life. It's Life's Playbook. That's what I'm calling it from now on. Life's Playbook is to stop you with those knee-jerk reactions. So for every challenge that you come up with in life, and this is dealing with privilege or this is dealing with the challenge that you've got going on, revert back to your playbook, right? So this is a problem in a relationship. I'm not going to make a knee-jerk reaction. I know you're not going to sit there and how you're going to run around it, but have your theoretical playbook. This is the challenge. Now, how do I get to the end zone? The end zone is the solution. This is the play that I need to deploy to do that. When it's going against privilege and trying to compensate for people who have more advantages than you in life, right? Let me flip to page 92 of my playbook. This is how I'm going to beat this. This is how I'm going to reach the end zone. If it's a challenge in your personal life, it's a challenge with relationships, with your friends, in a career, in your job, whatever it is, right, I'm going to go back to the playbook. I'm going to write a new way to get to the end zone on this. Again, the end zone is the result that you want, right? So it's like life's playbook. If you haven't got one, design one.
Yeah, I like that.
How you beat all of those excuses that are holding you back.
Yeah, that's wicked. Life's playbook, yeah.
Life's playbook. Yeah, so people that are like black people, get your life playbook. Tall people, short people, get your life playbook. Fat people, get your life playbook. Women, get the playbook out. Get your playbook out. You can beat us men. And
everybody, and privilege exists all here, everywhere around. Again, it is lack of excuses.
It's taking control, isn't it?
It's taking control, but that's the thing. People don't step back, and it's a good point. People don't step back and work out the way, and the playbook is just a good way to summarise that up, because they don't step back, look at the problem, and think, what play am I going to deploy to beat this? Yeah. They just look at it as they just get they drown in it.
You know what you get? You get a defeated attitude. Yeah. You get a defeated attitude, and you sort of wallow in self-pity, and you're just like, this is happening, and yeah, I've been there, and that's what I'm saying. I've been in that situation where I've just been like, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, and everything's bad. And then
it's when you go from self-defeated to I will not be beaten.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you have to get to a certain point of defeat. Once you've been beaten up so bad, you're like, do you know what? I can't be defeated anymore. You will not beat me.
Yeah.
This person up here, privilege or not, you will not beat me. If you think that you will not outwork me. You will not out-hustle me when I deploy my skills there. You will not beat me when it comes to, yep, you came from this opportunity and you might look the part, but I've got the graft and I can engage with people better than you. And I know better ways and tactics to deploy to compensate. Yeah, you've got the money, but I know that if I develop this strategy, it's going to compensate for what you've got the money. Yeah, you might have the team of 25 people, but it's fine because I've got my team of 5. And my team of 5 superstars beats your team of 25 Division 2 players. Like, straight up, there's always a way to deploy a play that's going to win in life for you. Mm-hmm. All it is, right, work out what that end zone is, what's that goal, work back from that. Again, life's playbook, work out your play, how you're going to hit the end zone, how you're going to win. Like, there's no excuses holding you back. Privileges will always exist in life of all different races, sizes, looks, features. That ain't going to hold me back, I'll tell you that for damn sure. Because I ain't never going to be the tallest, and I'm never going to be the prettiest, and I'm never going to have all of the opportunities that some people who grew up in
light skin privileges.
See, that is another privilege, right? But still, what I mean is, there ain't nothing that's going to hold me back because I've decided I won't be defeated, I'm not going to be beaten.
Wicked. Well, I think we can probably wrap up at that point.
Yeah, so we'll wrap it up for another week. Remember, if you haven't got your life's playbook, then put one together. What's your end zone look like, and what's the tactics you're going to employ to beat that? And as ever, life's only as good as your mindset. Your results are only as good as your hustle. So we'll see you next week.
Peace.
Peace out.